So students, we have as seen here that relationship between human capital and economic growth is that whenever human capital is going to increase, uh, the labor productivity of different individuals in a particular country, then it will lead to economic growth, as the income of the people will increase due to increase in the labor productivity. uh, then economic growth is going to take place. Their income is increasing, that means national income or the real national income is also going to increase. That is, the production in the country will increase, leading to increase in the national income. So directly speaking, that human capital is very much positively related to economic growth of a country. So one paragraph I am going to read here. It is written here in the same topic. India recognized the importance of human capital in economic growth long ago. The seventh five-year plan says human resources development has necessarily be assigned a key role in development strategy. So you can see here in the seventh five-year plan, these five-year plans which started from 1951 onwards. So in the seventh five-year plan, the main goal was of human resources development. Human resources development, we can read it as a human capital directly, which increases the labor productivity after investing in education and health. And this was the goal of seventh five-year plan. And according to this development strategy, particularly in India, with a large population, because India is consisting a very large population where human resources should be developed, human capital should be formed, so that economic growth should keep on taking place. With this, trained and educated on sound lines, are the large population can itself become an asset. So if more educated, trained, and trained individuals will be found in our country, then automatically this large population which is there in India, here in India, the economic growth could be accelerated. So to find out that how this economic growth is taking place, we need to know or study some type of indicators of economic growth. Okay, so for this, directly speaking, we can see some of the indicators. Here you can see indicators of development in education and health sector. So some of the indicators we are going to study about, which are directly related to the development in education and health sector. This table is given to you on page number 89 in your NCERT book. So according to this table, if you will see there in that table, educational achievement in a country are indicated in terms of adult literacy level. So you can see that if we are going to talk about the indicators of development in education, so what are those indicators which relates to the educational development in a country? So these indicators are generally speaking primary educational completion rate, adult literacy rate, and youth literacy rate. Same you can see on this page, page number 89. With this, some of the indicators of development in education and health are like that of real per capita income, crude death rate, infant mortality rate, life expectancy at birth, and literacy rate. So this table 5.1 is going to show you on page number 89 the development in education and health sectors. So according to this table, if you will see there that in the beginning, if you will see that in 1951, the real per capita income, which is in rupees, is shown there as 7,651. Okay, this was in 1951. Actually, this real per capita income directly relates to the production in all the three sectors which took place, the money value of all the final goods produced in the primary, secondary and tertiary sector, which makes our GDP. And this GDP directly is the money value of all the goods and services which is directly being distributed to all the factors of production. So directly speaking, when we take this total GDP divided by the total population, it will give us per capita income, which is called to be as real per capita income. And in 1951, this was 7,651. With comparison, in comparison to 2016 to 17, it is 77,659 now. This is the per capita income. So this has increased a lot. So here we can see that economic growth is taking place, and crude death rate. This is per thousand population. This is the death rate of different people in a country per thousand population. So it was 25.1 in 1951, but according to the records of 2016 to 17, it is 6.3 only. So you can see that the crude death rate, which is to be taken in account per thousand population, is going down at a very great rate. On the other hand, if you will see this crude death and per capita income, crude death is directly related to the health sector, and the real per capita income is related to the development in the education sector. If you will see the infant mortality rate, infant mortality rate means that number of infants which have those small children or infants, we will call them directly, which have who have not even reached up to the age of 1 year, and the death rate of these infants is called to be as infant mortality rate. So this was in 1951, 146 infants dying per thousand. But in 2016 to 17 now, we are having the rate of 33 infants dying per thousand. So this is a good health achievement that our country has experienced till now. After this, life expectancy at birth, number of years, average life of a person, lifespan of a person in India, in our country. This is on the basis of male and female. So according to males, in 1951, 37.2 was the lifespan, average lifespan of a male in India. But in 2016 to 17, it is 67 years average lifespan. For females, it was 36.2 in 1951, but now in 2016 to 17, it is 70 years. This is the average lifespan of females in India. So this is showing that health indicators or the health sector is doing well in our country. Apart from this, literacy rate, which is directly related to the educational indicator. So this literacy rate is always to be calculated in percentage. It was 16.67% in 1951, but directly studying the record of 2016 to 2007, it is now 76%. So still, we can see that 24% of the people are still illiterate in our country. This constitute a very large population, but still we have reached up to a particular achievement that from 16.51 1951 we have reached to 76%, okay, in 2016 to 17. So directly speaking that this is the type of educational achievement that our India has experienced. So if we talk about the future growth rate of India, it is estimated that in coming years, taking um, the year 2030 to 32, India would be coming at a position of fourth to fifth position. Okay, that is our third means 4 to 6 position may also rise. It is estimated to third position India could reach up to, and may become third largest economy in the world. Our 10 trillion economy will now be driven by natural resources, but by knowledge resources. We have not looked ahead into implication of being the world third largest economy, but according to our knowledge attainment, we are not estimating that we would be a country which would be reaching up to the economy of over 10 trillion. So still this is a distant dream, but still some of the international institutions are estimating it. So still India has to go a long way to achieve these different goals. Apart from this, we will study about the education sector in India. So our next topic will be education sector in India. So let's see on the board. Let's start the point, education sector in India. Education sector in India, if you will see that the development in education is also related to human development. That is the most important sources of human capital formation are education and health, as we have already seen. According to our definition, education only means to read and write, but it is not that much what education does. Education with the ability to read and write also leads to better knowledge, gaining knowledge, and developing necessary skills to participate in the growth process of the country. So, what can we say about the importance of education? If we talk about this importance of education, then a person is not only going to read or write or understand a message according to our definition, but education helps to develop the necessary skills for the smooth functioning of the economy. Education develops mental horizon of the masses and helps in promoting national thinking of the rational thinking of the people. So as a person is educated more and more, he develops more rational decision making. He can make more better decisions as compared to uneducated person. On the other hand, it enables greater participation of the people in the growth process of the economy. That means an educated person is going to contribute to more of the growth process of the country's economy. And by promoting education, social evils can also be eradicated. So what type of social evils can be eradicated? Like that of caste system or low caste, high caste, backward thinking, traditional or customs. The person is going to be more modernized when a person is educated. He is ready to adopt new technologies. So it is very important that education not only is going to increase the future earnings of a person, but also these other social benefits are also added to a person's life. Now, apart from this, and to the country's economy also. Apart from this, if we talk about the expenditure on education, so this education expenditure is to be divided or expressed in two ways. Number one, the percentage of total government expenditure, and number two, as a percentage of gross domestic product. So what is the difference between these two as a percentage of total government expenditure? The first one, according to the particular statement, as the government gets revenue from different sources like that of taxes as well as its own enterprises, the government is going to incur expenditure also. But out of its total revenue, how much expenditure the government is going to carry forward for education? The percentage of education expenditure by the government tells that how much importance the government is going to give to education in the country. So this is what is called as a percentage of total government expenditure. So it tells us that how much importance is given by the government on education in a particular country. On the other hand, in the second way, education expenditure, growth in education expenditure, the second way is as a percentage of gross domestic product. Education expenditure as a percentage of GDP, it means that how much of our income is being committed to the development of education in the country, right? So directly GDP is connected to our income, and therefore how much of our income is committed to develop education in the country. So if we see this change in the percentage on education, during 1952 to 2014, education expenditure as a percentage of total government has increased from 7.92 to 15.7%. This is a good increase in the expenditure on education by the government, and as a percentage of GDP, it has increased from 0.64 in 1952 to 4.13 in 2014. So this much increase in the education expenditure as a percentage of GDP is not very much, we can say, appropriate, because near about 6% is to be recommended by Education Commission, that this much percentage of the expenditure should be there as a percentage of GDP for the development of education in the country. And if we see according to different states, we also used to calculate per capita expenditure on education. If we see that per capita public expenditure on elementary education, it is very much different according to different states in the country. Like for example, in Himachal Pradesh, it is as high as 34,651. This is the record of 2014 to 15. So per capita public expenditure on elementary education. So it is a very good amount, 34,651 in Himachal Pradesh. But as low as we can see, on the other hand, in some other states, what is the per capita public expenditure? So it is as low as 4,088 rupees only in Bihar. So that is why there are different states in our country where more illiteracy is found. Okay, maybe because of these reasons. On an average, the government spends less on tertiary education expenditure per student government is spending lesser as compared to elementary education. On tertiary education, government spends lesser amount, but on elementary education, they are spending more amount. This does not mean that if you see that education per student in tertiary education is higher than that of elementary. If we see that what is the per capita expenditure for higher education, it is much higher as compared to elementary education. But that does not mean that the percentage of total expenditure on tertiary sector should be shifted to elementary education. It does not mean that. In both the levels, maybe tertiary education or elementary education, in both the levels, there should be growth in the educational levels. Now, if we see here that what is the difference between this human capital and human development? Let's talk about this difference. If we talk about human capital and human development, then the first point tells us that human capital considers education and health as a means to increase labor productivity. Whenever investment is to be incurred on education and health, it directly aims at enhancing labor productivity. This is what we say in human capital. But when we talk about human development, then whatever is the expenditure on health and education, it is not directly related to high earnings in future or enhanced labor productivity, but human development directly relates to when education and health expenditures are incurred by an individual. It means it is for the well-being of a person. And whenever a person is educated and healthy, he is able to make better decisions as compared to uneducated person. So this is directly, human development is connected to well-being of human. On the other hand, in the second point of difference, the end point in human capital, whenever any expenditure is done in education or maybe on health, then this expenditure on education and health, the end result of it is increased labor productivity. But on the other hand, expenditure on education and health in human development, the end result of it is to human welfare. The end point in human development is human welfare, not connected to any increased earnings, but human welfare it is there, well-being of the people. So whenever investment in education and health is unproductive, it does not lead to any rise in production of goods and services, right? So whenever any investment is to be made on education and health and it is unproductive, then it does not lead to any human capital formation, because no increased labor productivity is to be experienced. On the other hand, investment on education and health is productive, even it does not lead to rise in production of goods and services. So in the human development, the difference is this: if even high earnings or increased labor productivity is not experienced, but whatever education expenditure or health expenditure is to be incurred by an individual, it just relates to the human well-being, even if the person is going to earn or not in future or whatever. So this is what is human development, and this is the difference between human development and human capital.